The protagonist is a Pokemon enthusiast plus the female protagonist Xiaoguang+ does not step on Zhiye and Shinji+ has no system. The story of Yushengyun traveling to the Pokemon Shen'ao region and leading his Pokemon to the pinnacle. The aloof but enthusiastic lizard king, a circle bear with a wild exterior and some small thought, still a fossil pterosaur spouting garbage, a dream demon who likes to be mischievous and transform into a divine beast, a melancholic and heterochromatic giant gold monster, or maybe it's our little cute Leo Road Shinji. I acknowledge your abilities, but why have you been hanging out with that childish guy, Koji? Xiaoji. Ah Yun, your way of cultivating Pokemon is so unique. Come and have a battle with me. Xiaoguang. Xiaoyun is so amazing. I feel like he knows everything. When can we be together? Omega. Taking the route of the animated version, there is no particularly strict level system, and it is relatively slow to heat up. There may also be more scenes of battles. Chapter 1. Wedge. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The animation flow that this book follows, readers who enjoy reading levels, please consider carefully. The first few chapters mainly explain the general background, which is relatively plain. If you don't like it, you can skip it. Reminder. High-end readers often only need the simplest reading methods during the reading process. It is recommended that readers place their esteemed brains here for a better reading experience. Brain storage location. Huaxia Jinling, what kind of broken company? I can't do any of this job. A boy who had just been interviewed by a company began to curse. Yun Fan is a recent college graduate who graduated this year. Her height and appearance cannot be said to be very stunning, but rather ordinary and unremarkable. She couldn't even make a ripple in the crowd. Maybe a little bit. I think so. This is all outrageous. To recruit a fresh graduate, it is necessary to have 5 years of work experience. We have been in college for 4 years, so I'll steal the extra from you. Forget it, let's take the subway home first. He sighed at the coldness and ruthlessness of the capitalists, feeling a bit frustrated, and said, "Touch." And while crossing the zebra crossing and planning to go to the nearby snack street to buy some dinner, the whole person flew away. Did you fly? Next is a 2.5 rotations in the air. Lying half dead on the ground, he looked at the motorcycle rider wearing a helmet behind him, his mouth opening and closing as he spoke a few words. Damn it, you're rushing to get reincarnated. I can't do it anymore, I'm going to faint. Subsequently, the consciousness of the brain began to gradually blur, and the memories of the first half of life flashed by like driving at a super fast speed. Shen'ao District, Shuangye Town. With the cry of a baby, a woman in the hospital ward had already fallen asleep on the hospital bed. Her face was very pale at this moment, making people unable to help but want to take care of her. Miss Joey, how are my wife and children? Outside the ward, a man in his 20s was anxiously asking the nurse in front of him. Mr. Yushen, I know you're in a hurry, but please don't worry for now. Man, mother and son are healthy, but mom is just too tired and has temporarily gone to sleep. Miss Joey said in the fastest tone possible before the man in front of her, whose face was getting darker and darker, began to exhale fragrance. Lucky, Miss Joey has a pink egg-shaped body next to her. It has curly hair in the shape of hair, a pair of short hands and a short tail, a chubby lower part, a pocket on the abdomen, and an egg in the pocket. It was Miss Joey's exclusive partner, Geely Egg, who kept shaking her little hand as if saying, "Don't worry, calm down, take a sip first. Take a sip of water to slow down." Ha, that's great. Thank you so much, Miss Joey. The man took a long breath, but in fact, the small ones didn't matter, as long as the big ones were fine. But the news that both of them were unharmed naturally brought joy to everyone, and the heart that had been hanging around finally let go. After Miss Joey left, Hanyu silently walked towards his wife. Moonlight shone through the window on Lena's pale cheeks, then gently stroked her hair, wiped away the fine sweat from her head, combed her messy hair behind her ear, and held her hand, quietly accompanying her. Early morning, MK. On the tree branch outside the window, there is a gray little bird with a light gray belly and a white, which is the family bird of the Shen'ao region, mucker. The sound also happened to wake up Lena on the hospital bed. Where is this? No, my body is so tired that I can't use my strength. No, my child, I remember I was born. Lena slowly opened her eyes and looked around at the pristine white ceiling, trying to sit up but unable to exert any strength. She could only look around with her eyes, trying to find a whimpering four-legged gold-swallowing beast. Wife, you're awake. Come on, lie down first. At this moment, Yuzuru Hanyu pushed open the door, holding a thermos lunch box in his hand. He walked over to the bedside table and placed the lunch box on the bedside table, raising the pillow to allow his wife to sit and lie on it better. Chinyan, where are our children? I remember they came up next to me. As a mother who has just given birth, the first thing she cares about is her own child. Perhaps caring about her child is something that every mother would do. Lena asked her husband softly with a pale face. The child was not lost, it was just taken by Miss Joey for a newborn check. Up as usual. Yushengyun first explained, then opened the insulation box, filled a spoonful of soup, and gently blew it, feeling it wasn't too hot. He took it to his wife's side and gestured to drink it. That's good, as long as it's okay. Lena finally calmed down and took a sip of the soup from the spoon. Her memory only existed when Miss Joey placed the child next to her pillow, and it disappeared afterwards. Just now, I almost thought she kicked her baby into the trash can while sleeping. If it weren't for her husband coming in, she would want to flip through and see if it's really inside. Yuzuru Hanyu was chatting with Lena like this, drinking spoonfuls of soup from the thermos because Lena, who had just given birth, was still very weak and spoke in a low voice. Moreover, mothers who have just given birth are prone to drowsiness due to overdrawn energy. Watching Lena fall asleep again, she packed her lunchbox and quietly closed the door, ready to go and see if her eldest son was still alive. At this point, Yun Fan looked around in the incubator with a bewildered expression. Can anyone explain to me where this is? Why are my hands so small? I can't make any sound. Either we or I should go through a process even if I'm gone. What black and white impermanence takes me to recognize the way, the judge reports a message, and then Mengput drinks soup or something. Why did you just sneak over for me? Then I looked at the woman with pink hair outside in a daze, tapping the glass door with my hand, hoping to catch her attention and take me out first. However, in the eyes of those outside, the situation is like this. Yeah. This child is really energetic. He blinks his little eyes, pouts his little mouth, and keeps patting the glass door. He looks so cute and pinched, I really want to hug him. Miss Joey looked at the children inside the ward with this kind of gaze, as if she was shining, as if seeing some fun toy. What's the situation with this woman? How do I feel that she has some strange thoughts about me? I'm just a child right now. Yun Fan suddenly feels guilty, stops patting on the glass door, and tries to show that people and animals are harmless, hoping to get through. Miss Joey, what's the situation with my child now? Is his physical condition okay? It took so long yesterday to give birth and there shouldn't be any sequelae, right? Yushengyun, who pushed open the door, made a machine gun-like inquiry, whether it was his own child or a little bit of concern. Oh, it's Mr. Chinyan. Your child's physical condition is very good. You can see from here that the baby's current condition is still healthy. Miss Joey said with a smile on her face. Lucky, at this moment, Geely Egg pushed the small cart open the door and waved from Miss Joey. Inside the cart, there were a series of items prepared for the baby, such as towels, diapers, and blankets. Sorry, Mr. Yusheng. We need to change the baby's diaper now, and we will deliver the baby to you and your wife shortly. Miss Joey continued to maintain a professional smile and said in a gentle tone. Okay, then I'll trouble you a lot, Miss Joey. Professional matters need to be entrusted to professionals. After hearing that Houda is fine, based on the principle of not interfering, Yushengyun plans to take a step first. However, as he was in the incubator, his current mood was like this, an indescribable emotion. Chapter 2. Yuzumo Hanyu. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. What are they talking about, Mr. Hanyu? Am I reincarnated to Sakura Kingdom? No, let's first sort out the general problem. The man just now should be my dad, and he just called the pink-haired nurse's outfit Miss Joey. The pink egg-shaped creature next to him is really a lucky egg, so this is the world of Pokemon. I thought it was a nurse sister pretending to be a puppet to coax children, no wonder it's so real, that's very reasonable. A Ghostyun fan's already limited brain gradually became chaotic, unable to imagine that this was true. We mean, although as a new college student in the 21st century, my hobby is reading various online novels and I have fantasized about traveling to different worlds to start my own path of domination, what about going to Dolua to take a certain third chance, and going to fight against Xiaoguang+does? But just think about these things. If they really pass, they probably won't survive the kind of second episode. Hey, fortunately, we are now traveling through the world of Pokemon. Compared to other worlds, Pokemon world is very friendly, at least for now, we don't have to worry about our own lives. Wait, System. Tongzi. Is the system large? Dear Tonga. I saw you. Come out. The system is big, come out. Wow, I know you're here. Woo please come out. Yun Fan thought of the welfare of the traveler and tried to awaken the system of nobility with sincerity, but it was obvious that sincerity is not of much use. As the screen turned, the perspective returned to Miss Joey's side. Miss Joey first laid a small blanket on the crib in the ward, gently lifted me out of the incubator, and placed it on the prepared blanket. I started using a small towel with Geely egg to wipe my body while swaddling, changed into a new diaper, and then packaged it with a small blanket. Okay, it's sorted out. What do you think of the lucky egg? After completing the entire set of techniques, Miss Joey nodded satisfactorily and said to the lucky egg next to her. Lucky, Geely egg also nodded its pink head, and the curly hair on both sides was gently swaying, indicating that it was very good. What a lovely baby. The faint scent of milk on his body is so pleasant. Can I give you a hug? Miss Joey lifted him up, powerless to resist, and first looked at him with glowing eyes. It may seem like he asked, but for someone who can only do it, it's obvious that he's useless. Then he was placed between her majestic sides. What's the situation with this woman? I'm a new account, please don't mess with me, okay? I can't do it anymore, I'm almost out of breath. He, who was held in Miss Joey's arms, had a numb face and a slightly red complexion. If this good thing were to be left behind in his previous life, he would probably be too excited to sleep. But now. In one sentence, I only hate my lack of ability. Lucky, at this moment, Geely Egg's voice sounded like an angel, reminding the woman with pink hair to pay attention to the situation of the child in her arms, and also saving him from almost being reincarnated again. Sorry, thank you for reminding me of the lucky egg. I almost forgot the time. I should have taken the baby to Mr. Hanyu and Mrs. Lena's side now. Then Miss Joey said apologetically to the lucky egg. Hey, shouldn't it be me who should apologize? I was almost sent away by you again. In Miss Joey's arms, he raised his small hand in an attempt to protest. Oh my, you're such a lively child. You should be looking forward to meeting your mother for the first time, so let's get ready to go. Miss Joey held him in her arms, while the lucky egg pushed the small cart towards Lena's ward. What? Mom. In Miss Joey's arms, he quietly pondered the memories of his past life. He was an orphan who was thrown at the entrance of the orphanage one night and raised by the dean. After the old dean passed away, due to his age, no one was willing to adopt an older child, so he lived on like this. But now can he also have my own mother? Qingyan, how's the child's physical examination going? Can we go and see the child now? After resting, Lena began to worry about her baby, asking her husband. I just went to see the child, and our child is in very good health. Miss Joey has started the final care and should come over soon. Yuzuru Hanyu spoke truthfully to his wife, gesturing for her to relax and not worry. But I want to go see him now. I feel like I'm almost resting now. Why don't you help me go and take a look? I was unconscious after giving birth yesterday, and I didn't even glance at him. Lena seemed to have thought of something, tears flickering in her eyes, and her delicate appearance made people want to wipe away her tears with their fingertips. Dong dong, Mr. Yusheng, can I go in now? Accompanied by a knock on the door, Lena and I looked towards the door and saw Miss Joey and Zhiye Egg standing at the door of the hospital room, smiling and asking questions. Miss Joey was holding a cute little baby in her arms. Of course, thank you for taking care of my child. Can I bring it over now? After Miss Joey came in, Xian Hanyu raised her hand to Miss Joey, intending to hold me over. Be careful, just slowly hold it diagonally. At this moment, Xian Hanyu was somewhat nervous and slowly picked him up from Miss Joey. Then Zhiye Egg and I will go to another ward first. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. After delivering the child to the Hanyu couple, Miss Joey expressed her readiness to leave first. Is this our child? Lena lay on the hospital bed, looking at the smiling face of the baby in her arms, gently caressing her slightly red cheeks, as if she had the whole world. And that's because after giving birth, a slightly pale face also showed a smile. Is she my mother? She's so beautiful. The baby was gently held in Lena's arms, and his mood suddenly became calm. Her tenderness healed my whole world, and the woman's appearance reflected in my eyes. Lena's jet black hair cascaded over her shoulders, with clear and bright pupils, curved willow eyebrows, and long eyelashes trembling slightly. Her slightly pale face not only did not affect her overall appearance, but also added a touch of Lin Daiyu's delicate beauty. Qingyan, let's give the child a name. Lena is now looking at my father with a smile on her face. Let's call it Clouds. I hope our children can float freely in the sky like clouds, and their hearts can be as pure and flawless as clouds. Qingyan pondered for a moment and looked out the window at the white clouds floating lightly in the azure sky, like a natural painting. Yushengyun, this name sounds really nice. Xiaoyun, we have a name now, are you also very happy? Lena looked at his little face with joy on her face, then pressed her heads against each other to show a smile. Yushengyun, is this my new name? Yunfan Yushengyun lifted his small face from his arms and looked at his parents for a lifetime, watching the couple look at him with smiles on their faces, their expressions filled with joy, and his heart also paused at this moment. It seems that this accident was quite unexpected. Chapter 3. Guangjiang appears. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies like flowing water, slipping away from my fingertips and passing by in a hurry. 10 years later, Shuangye Town. The boy on the grass quietly looked at the sky. Against the backdrop of the blue sky and white clouds, the lush grass was like a soft carpet. The gentle breeze blew through the wild flowers on the grass like natural paintings, adding a touch of bright color to this peaceful world. It's like flying over a few gray moons with small dots on their bellies in the blue sky and white clouds. Occasionally, passing by in the grass, there's a delicate and petite one with 2 yellow-green legs. The shy bud that connects the body to the flower bud on the head shows that this world is not ordinary. Ah woo, it's so comfortable. Xiaoyun yawned comfortably, stretched lazily, with a hint of tears at the corners of her eyes, and then continue lying down. It has been 10 years already. Over the past decade, Xiaoyun has tried various methods to awaken the noble system, such as saving enough alliance coins to make a devout confession, secretly killing chickens, sleeping in the library, and so on. After frequent attempts in various ways, Xiaoyun finally gave up. He didn't have that fate as a seasoned Pokemon enthusiast in my past life, previously known as Pokemon. I think everyone who has seen it has to some extent fantasized about how it would be to enter the world of Pokemon. When watching Pokemon in my past life, my favorite ones were Pearl and XY. I couldn't accept the art style of Sun and Moon, and I also skipped the journey section because of the dog hero. As the journey concluded, at the moment when Xiaoji successfully won the championship trophy, I realized that the era of my Pokemon had passed. Although there will be a new chapter later, there are no longer those people I am familiar with inside. Damn it, Xiaoyun, Uncle asked me to call you home. The blue-haired girl standing in the distance happily shook her hands. The girl was wearing a white sleeveless top, a blue short skirt, and a beautiful blue hair fixed behind her ears with yellow hair clips. Oh, it's Xiaoguang. Alright, I know. I'll be back soon. The boy watched as the girl walked over, saying yes while still lying motionless on the grass. Stinky Yun, you're just perfunctory with me again, aren't you? I'm serious this time, and Uncle said if there's an urgent matter, I must take you back. The girl crossed her waist with her hands, pursed her lips, and her cute little face showed a hint of helplessness. Xiaoguang, relax. If my dad has any urgent matters, it's just that he wants me to patrol the town with my Renkin cat again, or if this guy goes to my mother's breeding house to help and messes up, he wants me to go back and help him share the pressure. Someone even rolled over and continued lying down without any thought of intention. Oh my, could you be more serious? There's really nothing I can do about you. You've been looking lethargic all day. Xiaoguang stomped his feet helplessly and then sat beside him, accompanying him. Yun, let me tell you something. Xiaoguang sat on the grass, combing his messy hair behind his ears with his hands. His tone suddenly became a bit serious, and his beautiful eyes revealed a hint of nervousness. You tell me, what's going on? Xiaoyun seemed to hear Xiaoguang's tone become somewhat serious, and he sat up from the grass and no longer became lazy. He looked at her with that clear and bright gaze and replied. It's about traveling. Xiaoguang noticed Xiaoyun's gaze and blushed slightly in his ears, saying shyly. What's the trip? The young man didn't understand what Xiaoguang was saying and asked her in a daze. Oh my, I'm going on a trip in a few years. They want to go with you now. Xiaoguang followed her words, her face blushing like a ripe apple, emitting a faint pink color, appearing even more beautiful and moving in the sunlight. Oh, this is it. The young man's thoughts flew by. In the world of Pokémon, after the age of 14, everyone means they have reached adulthood. Every year, they pay a certain amount of money in the Alliance and can go to the local Pokémon doctor to collect their Pokémon and guidebooks after reaching adulthood. The Pokémon awarded by these alliances are basically 3 attributes of water, fire, and grass, all of which can evolve into 3 stages of Pokémon, and are commonly known as the Imperial 3 Houses. Many humans in the world of Pokémon travel with their own Pokémon, including those who collect badges and challenge the Pokémon Alliance dojo. These people are known as Pokémon trainers, as well as those who win ribbon medals in glamorous competitions and are called Pokémon coordinators. There are also Pokémon explorers, Pokémon sommeliers, and so on. There are also those who cannot afford the funds and can only spend 200 Alliance coins to buy a red and white ball from the elf store and then try their luck in the wilderness. If they are lucky, they can also catch a solitary stinging or unicorn beetle to start further development. According to the memory of the owner of the Changpan Dao Hall in the Kanto region, the leader of the first underground rocket team, Banmu, made his fortune with a giant hornet. Even now, this giant hornet is still the ace in Banmu's many Pokémon, and I don't know how this guy was trained. It's outrageous to be able to compete with the Dodo's Velociraptor without the evolution of the Meeg. When I play games, I always evolve and increase the speed of the Bumblebee Meeg. I just want to rely on its powerful attack power and speed to take a second before the opponent starts attacking. Otherwise, my Bumblebee only has 40 defense points. I really dare not take it on Epsilon. Hey. Do you agree to travel with me or not? I don't even know if I can reply. It's impolite of you to do so. Xiaoguang's voice pulled me out of my memories, and as I looked at Xiaoguang's face, which had become shy from the words he had finally said, it had now disappeared. Xiaoguang's eyebrows furrowed slightly now, her little hands clenched tightly into fists, her beautiful eyes staring at me as if suppressing her anger, as if you were going to get angry if you didn't give me a perfect explanation. It was only then that I remembered the girl next to me who was waiting for my answer. Sorry Xiaoguang, I was just hearing you talk about traveling when I suddenly thought about what we should prepare for our trip. I was a bit distracted for a moment. Xiaoyun gently placed his hand on Xiaoguang's head and looked at him with clear and bright eyes, like twinkling stars. One glance was enough to make people intoxicated, and he spoke in panic without blushing at all. Do you agree? Xiaoguang, who was a bit embarrassed when someone's pig's hoof was placed on his head, immediately heard the positive news and smiled happily. Well, yes, I actually plan to travel with you without you having to say anything. Even though some people don't know anything, they keep saying, it's okay, day by day. It's okay, there's no way to let people relax and let you travel alone, just like when you were a child, Wu. Xiaoyun looked at Xiaoguang's somewhat happy face and solemnly revealed some of her dark history, but suddenly she covered her mouth tightly with both hands. Ah, don't say, immediately forget about it for me, don't mention that matter. Xiaoguang's originally happy face gradually faded with my words, but suddenly realized that he didn't know if he was angry or shy, so he rushed over and pressed my mouth down. Woo, Mudxian Fong Kai, oh no Shuol. Xiaoyun's mouth was covered by Xiaoguang and she couldn't breathe. Okay, you said it, then I'll let go. Xiaoguang also noticed that he saw my face turn red from being suppressed, so he planned to let me go as well. Saved, really, your reaction is still that big. My expression gradually returned to normal. Oh, who made you suddenly mention that thing? It's been so long. Xiaoguang seemed to have some momentum and instinctively touched his hair, saying. I'll tell you, as the saying goes, when encountering difficulties, we can't avoid them. We need to face them directly and face them head-on, so that we can overcome them. Olii. Xiaoyun said to Xiaoguang. That's what I said. Well, okay, but you can't just say it casually. Although Xiaoguang didn't understand the meaning of the last sentence, she still replied as she looked at the young man in front of her, who seemed to be glowing and talking confidently. Xiaoyun stood up from the ground and patted his buttocks, saying to the girl in front of him. Alright, let's go. It's time to go home too. Maybe that unreliable dad really has something to do. Okay. Chapter 4. Unscrupulous Dad, Prepared Gifts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shuangye Town Mayor's home. This is a small courtyard of a Japanese-style building in the center of the town, with gray walls, wooden corridors, huge French window connected to the floor, and several cherry trees and other green plants in the courtyard. From the entrance to the house, there is a cobblestone path paved with pebbles. Every corner of the courtyard is filled with the poetry of life, showcasing the delicacy of the hostess, making people feel the beauty and tranquility of life. Luanqin Cat, you're also here. Xiaoyun, who walked into the yard, waved his hand and greeted the blue lion lying at the door. The Renkin Cat, also known as the Thunder Lion, has a blue face, hind legs, torso, and the back of its front legs, while most of its body is covered with fluffy black fur and its head forms a mane. The tail is slender and has a yellow four-pointed star at the end. Roar! Luanqin Cat also raised its head and nodded at Xiaoyun's lion head, then continued to lie leisurely outside the door basking in the sun. Mom, I'm back, Xiaoyun, who had not yet entered, shouted at home. At this moment, Lena was tidying up in the living room and said angrily when she saw that it was her own child. Where did your child go to play again? Your father searched for you for a long time but couldn't find it. If he hadn't happened to meet Xiaoguang and said she knew where you were, your father would have prepared to let Mute Eagle find you. Although Lena said so, she still walked towards Xiaoyun, who was changing shoes, and wiped the fine sweat on Xiaoyun's forehead with a towel. Ah! What's so urgent? We've all used the MK Eagle. Is it because our family went bankrupt? Xiaoyun stood in place, her face wiped by Lena. Looking at her, it seemed that time had not left any traces on her face. Her elegant temperament and eternal gentle smile seemed to be able to heal all fatigue and sadness. Pooh, did you say that about your own family, kid? Lena instinctively lightly pounded Xiaoyun's chest, and her elegant demeanor was almost destroyed by Xiaoyun's filial words. After calming down her emotions, she said. That's not because my dad, the mayor, was masturbated. I've said before that my dad's appearance will eventually be suspended by the Alliance prosecutor. Xiaoyun immediately thought of another possibility and confirmed it by clenching his right hand and touching the palm of his left hand. I can't do it anymore. What's going on? I'm afraid this child can't be taken anymore. I'm constantly looking forward to the situation where our family goes bankrupt. You can't be angry, you can't be angry. It's my biological son, who I gave birth to for more than 10 hours. Lena almost couldn't hold on to her gentle smile this time. This is a good thing. Your father is preparing to give you a gift, saying it took him a long time to get it done. Undoubtedly, she was a former coordination trainer, and her facial expression management was very well done. In just a few seconds, Lena regained her usual temperament, just like she had never heard her son's filial words just now, and she never thought about almost throwing him out. Gift, number 39, Omega number 39, winky face. Xiaoyun first thought about whether she had asked her father for any gifts recently. Do you have it? What expression are you on? How could you show such confusion? Lena looked at her silly son and said. But it seems like I haven't been giving gifts or anything like that to O Duo Santi lately. On the contrary, O Duo Santi, Dad, always thinks about asking me to patrol the town with my Renkin cat. Then he recalled his father's weak and pitiful appearance in front of him. In Yun's memory. Xiaoyun, your father is suffering a lot. Dad's mayor is not easy to work with. He not only has to run back and forth every day for the future development of the town, but also patrols the safety of the entire town every day. Look at Mute Eagle, he's all thin and out of shape. In the mayor's office, an unscrupulous mayor is sitting on his desk, running a train with his mouth full, shamelessly squeezing his 10-year-old son. Are you sure that the musk eagle is thin and disfigured? Xiaoyun looked out the window with a strange expression on his face, and waved his hand to the muscular and sharp-eyed version of the MK Eagle that had just patrolled the sky. MK, after seeing that it was Xiaoyun, the Mute Eagle smiled and waved its wings, then waved its strong and resilient wings, and flew towards the back mountain like a stream of light. Of course, you can see how thin the MK Eagle is now. When he followed me to challenge the league, he was huge and often relied on his absolute weight to win. I don't know how many powerful opponents he helped me defeat with that move. The unscrupulous mayor was still talking about it, and he probably believed him. In my mind, I probably imagined that the huge MK Eagle defeated his opponent with Mount Tai. This picture is also too beautiful, are you sure it's not a flying weight? Who the hell is the mayor? His language ability is really good. If it weren't for me being watched by the MK Eagle since I was young, he almost fooled me. How about it, Xiaoyun? Can you help your poor father with some small favors? Okay, then. Actually, Xiaoyun really doesn't want to help, mainly because his father, a middle-aged uncle, looks at him with pitiful eyes. Who can withstand this? Forget it, who would let this guy be my father? Anyway, hitting children on rainy days is also idle. Good son, I knew your kind heart would never look at your father alone here. A unscrupulous mayor immediately exclaimed happily upon receiving accurate news. But it was agreed beforehand that I still need to go to school and can only help you after 3 p.m., and there shouldn't be too much work to do. Xiaoyun turned his head and didn't look at his smug smile. He reluctantly spread his hand and said, "Of course, not a problem, just agree. There's nothing wrong with that. Just take the Rentgen cat to patrol the town and go to the back mountain to see if there are any dangerous hazards or anything else." The unscrupulous mayor immediately became casual and spoke slowly, as if the person who had no father-like appearance just now had nothing to do with him. "Is it okay? If it's okay, I'll leave first. I can't stay any longer with this unscrupulous Father Jian. He just wants to take a stroll around Xiaoguang's house or visit his mother's breeding house to see what new little elves there are." "Well, don't be angry." The unscrupulous mayor seemed to notice my appearance as he walked over from his desk and hugged my neck with his hand, smiling. "Okay, let's not do this for free. After that, Dad will give you a gift and promise to give you a surprise. How about that?" The unscrupulous mayor realized that I hadn't looked at him, so he played a big trick and asked me. Okay, thank you dear Dad. I'm really looking forward to your gift, so I'll leave first." Xiaoyun didn't take this matter seriously at all, because I felt that my dad's unreliable appearance couldn't even give me a surprise gift. He walked towards the door and casually said, "Stinky kid, he's old and not cute at all when he's young. But when it comes to this gift, I hope you can still maintain a serious appearance." It was only through Dr. Xiaoguang, who specifically asked Fang Yuan, that I helped you get one, he. Hanyu let out a strange laugh, thinking of the surprised expression on his usually serious son's face, commonly known as the dead fish face, when he saw the gift. He was really looking forward to it. Chapter 5. The gift is Mu Shougong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thinking back to the present moment, it couldn't be the gift that was mentioned at that time. Xiaoyun thought of the conversation he had with his father in the office a while ago, and his expression suddenly became somewhat strange. "The gift my dad prepared, Little guess, is it a fishing rod? Or is it done by hand? You won't give me Dr. Daiki's Kawanagi collection, will you? Who wants that kind of thing? I don't understand at all." "Okay, but you can also consider selling it. There should be many people who like it, right?" "Alright, don't think about it. The gift has already arrived at your father's place, he should bring it back soon." Lena reminded me and then put on her apron to prepare dinner for today. Why did Mom come back from the nursery so early today? After changing into his slippers, Xiaoyun curiously asked Lena, who was preparing to wash vegetables. "There are not many trainers who came to cultivate and keep the elves in the house today, most of them are the elves who used to stay here. Just leave daily life to Xiaoya and the others. The energy blocks and Pokemon feed are sufficient, and they can feed according to the prescribed time. Then I will come back to prepare dinner for you first." Lena replied to Xiaoyun while washing vegetables. "Well, then I'll go back to the second floor first." Xiaoyun replied. "Go ahead, dinner will be a while later." "I'll call you when it's ready," Lena responded with a smile. Xiang Wei Miao, you're also here. Why did you run to my bed again?" I climbed up a wooden staircase next to the living room to the second floor. The layout of the second floor is somewhat different from that of the first floor. There is no living room or kitchen, and there is a hallway in the center. On the left side of the hallway is my room, which is connected to my study because I like to lie in bed and sleep directly after reading. It is a common Japanese-style room inside. The only difference in the center of the room is a large bed. Yes, because I couldn't get used to Japanese tatami mats, my dad changed the bed for me. At this moment, there is a cute pink kitten lying on the bed, meowing towards the tail. Xiangwei Meow is his mother Lina's Pokémon, but because she doesn't like battles, she didn't evolve it into an elegant cat. After that, she kept it at home as a mascot. And this little guy likes to lie in his bed whenever he has nothing to do, sometimes not paying attention to casually pressing. Hey, guess what? Next, the tail cat will let you know how stimulating it is to scratch its paws on its face. Meow, Xiangwei Meow didn't mean to get up from my bed, just lazily called out to me. Okay, then you can lie here, but don't disturb my bed. I simply didn't care about it, but I still instructed not to leave my blanket everywhere while playing anymore. What's good to see? Pokémon habits and residences, Pokémon attribute conquer battle table, several dangerous places in the Divine and Orial regions, Xiaoyun randomly picked up a Pokémon habits book from the bookshelf and lay on the bed, touching the chin of the tail cat to read. Meow, Xiangwei Meow was also touched by the defecation official's technique and squinted his eyes comfortably, enjoying himself. Lina, Xiaoyun, I'm back, 1 hour later. With the sound of the door opening, Xiaoyun knew that his unscrupulous father had returned. Xiaoyun, come down for dinner. After hearing Lina calling him to eat in the hallway, Xiaoyun placed the book he had lifted on the bed and carried the sleeping cat in my arms down the stairs. Welcome home, Dad. On the first floor, Xiaoyun saw his mother who had already served the food and his father who was sitting at the table saying hello. Xiaoyun, your mother should have already told you about it. How are you? Are you curious? Yuzuru Hanyu held a gift box and asked his son. Actually, I'm not very curious either. No, you're curious. I'm not curious. You're curious. Well, that's just a little bit, Xiaoyun replied with a smile, not intending to tease him, as he looked at his father's eager and pale face. Open it and take a look, it's definitely what you're looking forward to the most. Okay. I placed the tail cat in my arms on the ground, took my dad's gift box, and opened it. Elf ball. After Xiaoyun opened the box, there lay a black and yellow-colored Pokémon ball inside. Oh, it's still a high-end ball. What kind of Pokémon are inside? Now even Xiaoyun couldn't help but be curious and turned his gaze to his father. Just open it and you'll know. Yuzuru Hanyu knew when she saw that my expression had begun to change, it was stable, things were stable. I'll give it a try. Come out now. Xiaoyun was indeed curious about what Pokémon needed to be equipped with advanced balls. When the switch device of the Pokémon ball was turned on, the Pokémon inside turned into a white light and flew out. Bang! Exactly. Then a Pokémon, who looked like a lizard, came out with a small twig in its mouth and hands around its chest. It looked at Xiaoyun with a pair of yellow Katsura eyes, and the little one was still dragging. I'll go, Mu Shougong. After seeing the appearance of the elf clearly, Xiaoyun's expression management had become ineffective, and he immediately exclaimed happily. When I used to watch anime, I used to be envious when I saw Lizard King of Xiaoji fighting Doclai. However, this Pikachu trainer actually left him at home to eat dust. It only appeared once in the recent journey section, which is really a waste. I knew you would definitely like it, but your dad asked someone to find Dr. Oda to get one, Hanyu Xian replied with a smile. Your child used to ask you what little elf you wanted the most, and you just said, Mu Shougong. Your father has always remembered it, Lina responded at the moment. Although Yushengyun said it was so easy, Xiaoyun knew that this was a divine and mysterious region, and it was probably not easy to get a useless member of the Yuzhen family in the Fanyuan region. After pondering for a long time, 1,000 words could only be reduced to one sentence. Thank you, Dad. Harmful, I'm polite to your father, but Xiaoyun, I'll tell you, I helped you get the elf. It depends on yourself to conquer it. Yuzuru Hanyu felt a touch of emotion in my tone and said with some relief. Of course, if I don't even receive recognition from elves, how can I become a trainer to challenge league competitions in the future? Xiaoyun replied seriously. Cha-ba, cha-ba. At this moment, Mu Shougong looked at the person in the room and finally turned his gaze to me. He knew that if nothing unexpected happened, I would be his trainer from now on. Hello, Mu Shougong. First time meeting, my name is Yushengyun, you can also call me Xiaoyun. My hobby is watching Pokemon matches, and my dream is to stand in the center of the world and let everyone witness our strength. Are you willing to be my Pokemon and help me out? Xiaoyun also turned his gaze to Mu Shougong, quietly waiting for its answer. Cha-ba, without speaking, Mu Shougong looked into my eyes quietly, saying that they were the windows of the soul. It may have hoped to discern the truth of words through their eyes. Cha-ba, cha-ba, this human looks much more reliable than the new trainers he has chosen. He should be qualified to become my trainer. If he's too weak, I'll leave him behind. Yushengyun. One person, one pet, looked at each other for a long time. Looking into Xiaoyun's eyes, Mu Shougong seemed to have received the answer. He handed me his hand, probably to shake hands with me to show his agreement. Please take good care of me from now on, my partner, Xiaoyun answered with a serious expression as he held the palm handed over by Mu Shougong, feeling a bit soft. Cha-ba, cha-ba. Please take good care of me, Xiaoyun. After feeling the seriousness in Xiaoyun's words, Mu Shougong nodded confidently and said. Chapter 6. Start of Travel. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. 4 years later. MK. The sunlight shone through the window and poured into the room, and outside the window, Mucker also emitted a morning cry, as if welcoming a new day that had already begun. Dripping bell, dripping bell, dripping bell. Bang. A hand reached out from under the blanket and turned off the alarm clock in the shape of Mu Shougong. Xiaoyun lifted the blanket and went to the bathroom to brush his teeth. He looked at the travel suit that Lena had prepared for him on the bedside table and began to put it on. It's not bad, it has to be me. I can't even resist my appearance, so this should be a small benefit as a traveler. Xiaoyun, who had changed into new clothes, looked at the handsome face reflected in the mirror in the restroom and said in a narcissistic tone. It's just a little worse than the Yenzu in front of the screen. Are you ready, Yun? Come down and have breakfast. Aren't you planning to pick up Xiaoguang and go to the Yamanashi Research Institute to collect the initial Pokémon later? Pack up. We're coming down now. After hearing the sound, Xiaoyun stopped and picked up the high-end ball placed on the table, ready to go downstairs. Mom, where's my dad? Xiaoyun asked Lena in the living room after going downstairs. Lena turned around and looked at her child in a daze. I saw the young man standing around 1.75 meters tall, with clean black short hair, beautiful black pupils, and a slightly tight black outfit that showcased his perfect figure. He wore a pair of white sports shoes and a yellow Pokémon ball hanging from his belt, giving off a sunny and handsome feeling. Oh, your dad went to work. He told me he won't see you off today and will have to rely on you from now on. He has nothing to teach you anymore. Lena walked over with her usual smile and tidied up Xiaoyun's collar, saying with a smile. All right. Without saying a word, Xiaoyun silently ate all the sandwiches on the plate, drank the milk from the cup, picked up Lena's already prepared travel bag, and walked outside. Yun. Lena said reluctantly at this moment. I'm leaving, Mom. Don't think about me, I can't help but want to stay. Also, please help me tell my dad to prepare to cheer me on and become a cheerleader at home. I will definitely win the championship at the Suzuki Awards, and it will definitely surprise his chin. So Xiaoyun walked up to Lena and gently hugged her, saying heartlessly, as if he didn't care about the matter of parting. You still like to tease your father so much. Lena couldn't help but laugh as Xiaoyun tried to imagine her husband's cheerleading appearance, and the sad atmosphere of parting also eased a lot. Alright, I should go too. Xiaoguang is probably in a hurry. Xiaoyun stopped hugging and carried his travel bag as he walked out of the yard door. Xiaoyun, be careful all the way, Lena said to me as she stood at the door. Got it. Without turning around, Xiaoyun waved his hand away from Lena. Immediately, Xiaoguang walked to his house. At this time, Xiaoguang's family. Oh, it's over, it's over. Mom, why didn't you wake me up? Xiaoguang was still wearing a white pajama and was anxiously grooming in the room. I really have no way to deal with you, this child. Even though we had already discussed the departure date with Xiaoyun, we could still remember the wrong time. Fortunately, you went on a trip with Xiaoyun. Otherwise, your unremarkable appearance would be really frustrating, don't you think, charming Meow? Anaya, Xiaoguang's mother, Kaizi, stood in the living room with a helpless expression as she watched her daughter frantically tidy up her things, and said to the charming Meow lying on the table. Charming Meow heard Kaizi's question and just let out a soft cry to indicate that she heard it, but did not answer Kaizi's question. Ding dong. It must be Xiaoyun here. I can't let him see that I'm not ready yet. Mom, please go and help me block it first. I'll be fine soon. Xiaoguang heard the doorbell and ran to the room like a frightened little rabbit, saying to Kaizi. Oh, really, she doesn't look like a lady at all, I don't know who she's following. Kaizi sighed and walked towards the door. Ji twist, oh haheo, good morning, Aunt Kaizi, I'm here to pick up Xiaoguang and set off on a trip together. Kaizi opened the door and looked at the young man in front of her. The young man's attire today was refreshing to her, and just looking at him made her feel very reliable. Xiaoyun is here. Come and sit down first. Xiaoguang will be ready on the second floor soon. Okay, then I'll disturb Aunt Kaizi, Xiaoyun replied with a smile. You're such a child. You're still so polite to your aunt. You've grown up as an aunt. Kaizi angrily glanced at me and said with a smile. Come on, let's have some water first. Has Lena prepared breakfast for you? Do you want to have some breakfast? I've eaten auntie before, I'll just sit here for a while. Xiaoyun didn't hesitate and took the water handed by Kaizi and started drinking. Time flies so fast. Even though I was a child when I came here every day before, in the blink of an eye, you and Xiaoguang are also preparing to start traveling. Kaizi looked at the handsome young man in front of her and couldn't help but sigh at the rush of time. Auntie, you seem very young to me. Auntie, you are a top coordination trainer. I believe Xiaoguang will definitely inherit your talent and become a top coordination trainer. Xiaoyun looked at the beautiful woman in front of her, her unique charm making people feel warm and dignified. Ha ha ha, it's still Xiaoyun. You can talk, unlike Xiaoguang's personality of constantly wandering around. It's really frustrating to think about it. Kaizi smiled happily as the boy in front of her covered her mouth. Mom, you're talking bad about me again. I can't do what you said. Xiaoguang also tidied up at this moment, wearing the familiar white round hat on his head, a V-neck black camisole vest, a pink dress, and pink boots. He looked at his mother with his waist crossed and his cheeks bulging, feeling somewhat dissatisfied. It's just that. If it weren't for Xiaoyun accompanying you, I wouldn't have trusted you to go out alone. Auntie, let Xiaoguang eat first. It's getting late, and we're not far from the time we agreed with Dr. Yamanashi. Xiaoyun temporarily interrupted the small dispute between the mother and daughter, thinking that she couldn't leave Shuangye town at night without interrupting. Bakmeng had to finish her selection, after all, Dr. Yamanashi didn't. Okay. Let's finish breakfast first, Kaizi said to Xiaoguang. Quietly watching Xiaoguang finish breakfast, Xiaoyun is ready to take her on the official departure. But as he walked to the door and looked at the clean little light on his body, he said, Little light, where is your travel bag? Here it is. Duong. Then the girl took out a large yellow suitcase from the nearby cabinet and said she had no problem and was well prepared. Xiaoyun sweated profusely. This abundance is truly abundant, but is this thing a bit too abundant? If I really take this thing out, I wonder when I can walk to Jinsha town. What are you preparing here? Clothes. Clothes. Clothes or clothes? Do you think you're going on vacation, kid? Aunt Kaizi opened Xiaoguang's suitcase and looked at her daughter with a dark face. But these clothes are all for me to participate in the fancy competition. Before Xiaoguang could finish speaking, Aunt Kaizi stuffed a small yellow bag into her. Alright, that's it. Mom, I used to carry these things back then. After finishing speaking, Kaizi still felt a little uneasy and said to Xiaoyun beside her, Xiaoyun, I'll trouble you to take care of me a lot along the way. Xiaoguang, you know that you always say there's no problem, but in fact, everything is a problem. So it's been a hard journey for you, Xiaoyun. Rest assured, Auntie. I will definitely successfully complete this trip with Xiaoguang. Although knowing that what Auntie said is true, Xiaoyun still responded with a smile. Mom, let's go. Goodbye. Xiaoyun and Xiaoguang waved goodbye to Kaizi at the door before officially embarking on their trip. Have a safe journey. Kaizi looked at the back of the two walking away and whispered softly. Chapter 7. Yamanashi Research Institute. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On Road 201, it's so boring, Xiaoyun. I've heard on TV that traveling is a great thing. You can encounter many unexpected surprises, but why don't we have anything? The little light walking on the road drooped its head and looked unattainable. As Xiaoguang kicked the 25th stone on the road, Xiaoyun couldn't help but say, Guang, we've only been out for 2.5 hours, and we're still 25 kilometers away from Jinsha town. How could we possibly encounter something interesting now? Ah, it's still so far away. I thought it was almost there. Xiaoguang opened his mouth wide and looked at Xiaoyun in shock, as if he was saying something. What? Then he lowered his head and said, why don't you let me ride my bike? We won't be able to get there soon. No way, look at it. If you ride a bicycle, we can only go to the main road in the future, but the real excitement of the trip lies between mountains and rivers, which will miss out on many unexpected surprises. Xiaoyun propped his chin with his hand and answered the girl's question seriously. I actually think so in my heart. Well, anyway, in a few days, your bicycle may also be turned into a bicycle by the silly little pie classmate. He also indirectly saved your beloved car's life, girl. By the way, Xiaoyun. What kind of Pokémon do you want to choose when you go to the Yamanashi Research Institute? I'm so conflicted. I think the Bogamon in the water system is good, but the little flame monkey is also very lively, but the grass turtle is also well behaved. Before Xiaoyun could answer the girl's question, she began her lengthy speech and was completely immersed in her own world. The smile on her face was as if she had already won the championship at a grand celebration. It's not boring to have such a live treasure. I just saw her tired appearance and wanted to comfort her. It's not necessary to comfort her in any way. Xiaoyun rose in his heart, and didn't care about being beaten. Just listening quietly to Xiaoguang on the side, sometimes fantasizing about joyful things and becoming smiling, or perhaps feeling frustrated by the thought of missing one move in chess. Just like this, a pair of young girls walked on the road in the suburbs, heading towards the direction of Jinsha town. The girls were lively and cheerful, and the gentle and elegant young people couldn't help but marvel at what a perfect match it was. Time slowly slipped through the cracks of their conversation, and before they knew it, they had also arrived at the Yamanashi Research Institute located in Jinsha town. Similar to the Daiki Research Institute in anime, the True Sand Research Institute serves as the initial site for collecting Pokémon in the Shen'ao region. The building of the Research Institute is white, and there is a huge brown windmill next to it. Due to the large number of Pokémon placed inside the Research Institute, it can only be built far away from the city and along the mountain. At the entrance of the True Sand Research Institute, Xiaoguang, why don't you let me in? Xiaoyun, I'm a little nervous. Ah. What's so nervous about? It's not the first time. But today is different. Because you put on makeup today. Oh, what? What if Pokemon doesn't want to go with me? Anna, let's do it this way. If there's no Pokemon to choose from you, would you like me to knock it unconscious and take it away with the Lizard King? No problem, there must be no problem. I'm here, little elf. After a lively conversation, Xiaoguang may have become less nervous. She used her classic lines to boost herself and pushed open the door of the research institute. In what was supposed to be the research institute, Dr. Yamanashi, who was serious about speaking and smiling, stood next to two polite researchers, and three obedient Pokémon stood neatly. Then Dr. Yamanashi, standing in the center, said to us with his serious expression, "New trainer, please choose your initial Pokémon, they will be your lifelong companions." Well, what a classic scene. However, in fact. It's over. What should we do, what should we do? If this continues like this, if we wait for the doctor to come back and see it, we will really be finished. Alright. Don't complain. Hurry up and organize the files here. Then we'll go find the escaped little flame monkey in Bogomon, hoping there's still time. Is this the place to collect the initial Pokémon? The researchers who were tidying up at the moment froze in place when they heard the sound, and then lifted their heads in a daze. You shouldn't be the new trainers who came to collect Pokémon, right? The researchers want to give it a final struggle. What if they must have heard wrong, what if they just passed by? Yes, we are new trainers from Shuanya town. I am Xiaoyun and she is Xiaoguang. We have arranged for Dr. Yamanashi to come and collect Pokémon today. Oh, no. Smith Marseille, could you please wait for a moment? Due to some negligence in our work, we may not be able to claim Pokémon temporarily. Can you please be patient and wait for a moment? Now researchers are all bowing down to apologize and offer apologies. With that attitude, tone, and sincerity, one can go to the bottom of the river to apply for a job as a waiter. Xiaoyun and the others are too embarrassed to blame them. So what should we do? We can't just wait here all the time. Although Xiaoyun sympathized with their plight, he still wanted to inquire about a solution, so he asked a researcher. Well, this. Oh, by the way, this child is still here. If you don't mind, choose this child as the new Pokémon first. At this moment, the researcher was already sweating profusely and awkwardly laughing. Suddenly, something came to mind, pointing to the grass seedling turtle quietly cooking in the corner and saying. It's not impossible, but we have two people. Just one grass seedling turtle is not enough. Xiaoguang also helplessly spread out his hand with black lines and replied to the researcher. Then. The researcher's voice is also getting quieter and quieter, mainly because they are unreasonable. After all, who would like to encounter such an awkward situation on the first day of collecting Pokémon? Originally, only one of the three ran away, and no one can withstand it. Not to mention someone who missed their chosen time due to being late, this guy can probably laugh happily at a green caterpillar, not to mention giving him a Pikachu. How about we try to help you find the two Pokémon that ran away? Xiaoyun is not someone who likes to wait, so he said to the researcher. Really? You don't blame me for taking the initiative to help me find it. After hearing Xiaoyun's words, the researchers seemed to see angels taking them to heaven and rescuing them from hell. Tell me the lost Pokémon information, and they probably went in that direction. In the northwest direction, there are only little flame monkey and Bogomon, and the musk bird and musk will be back soon. The researcher immediately replied to me, that's all for now, isn't it? After confirming the information for the last time, Xiaoyun was ready to depart. Yes, that's right. The researcher heard the questioning in Xiaoyun's tone as if questioning them, but they were not angry either. After all, now that someone is taking care of their aftermath, who would be angry? Don't be angry. If someone helps them find Pokémon now, you can call your adoptive father on the spot. Epsilon. Chapter 8. Lizard King's first appearance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Behind the Research Institute. Xiaoyun, where are we going to find it? With such a big mountain behind us, those researchers just gave us a direction. When can we find Pokémon? We have come out of Dr. Yamanashi's Research Institute and arrived in the forest northwest of the back mountain according to the instructions of the staff. At this moment, a small light with a tired expression on its face rushed towards me and said, "We've almost reached the destination, let's just leave it here." At this moment, Xiaoyun stood in the forest and looked, feeling that the approximate orientation was already around. So he took out the high-end ball from his waist and threw it towards the open space. "Come out, Lizard King." Cha-bai. I saw a red light flashing through the Poké ball, and a tall green figure appeared in the open space, which was the wooden palace obtained from my father back then. In recent years, with Xiaoyun challenging the various elves in the back mountain and his father's young partner with Mu Shougong, the experience he has gained has evolved into the current Lizard King. Even if we were to fight against Xiaoji, I still have confidence in defeating him. At this time, the Lizard King was about 1.9 meters tall and had a much higher development than the average Lizard King. He was dragging a huge branch-like tail, and the leaves growing on his wrists were sharp like blades. There was a small forked branch hanging from his mouth, and his sharp eyes all showed his extraordinary qualities. "Please, Lizard King. Could you please check the location of Little Flame Monkey and Bogomon nearby and notify me if you see them?" Xiaoyun raised his head and said to the Lizard King, who had a proud and aloof style. "Cha-bai. Leave it to me." The Lizard King lightly tapped his head with his arms around his chest, and then his body turned into a stream of light as he shuttled back and forth in the forest, disappearing in just a few seconds. Lizard King is so cool with such a big body and such a fast speed, he disappeared with just a few strokes. Xiaoguang let out a surprised sigh. Although he had seen the Lizard King many times before, he still deeply admired every time he saw it. That's inevitable. But I also believe that our little light has cultivated our Pokémon to be incredibly powerful, standing on the mountaintop. Xiaoyun deeply agreed with Xiaoguang's gaze and encouraged the girl to avoid being hit. "Hey, you don't need to comfort me anymore. It's clearly the first day I'm preparing to happily collect my Pokémon. Who knew such a thing would happen? It's really unlucky." Xiaoguang thought about all the things that happened today and said with a somewhat frustrated expression on his face. "First, I was almost late in the morning, and then I had to walk all the way to the Research Institute, finally encountering the loss of my new Pokémon. Oh. So even such an optimistic little light can have a day of disappointment. Well. Although it may seem unlucky on the surface, there may be some opportunities hidden inside, such as the mysterious legendary Pokémon." Xiaoyun smiled and rubbed Xiaoguang's blue hair gently, saying, "Travel is like this. Apart from the beautiful scenery along the way, sometimes we also encounter setbacks and difficulties. However, in my opinion, every setback is a gift given to us by life. Let us face it with courage, wisdom, and confidence, overcome difficulties, and embrace a bright future." At this moment, Xiaoguang looked at the young man in front of her, who was speaking confidently. A faint blush appeared on her face, and she felt that his deep gaze conveyed a sense of confidence and determination. The words he said made her feel extremely at ease. "By the way, Xiaoguang, you are a top coordination trainer in the future. How could this little bit of bad luck be difficult for you?" "No problem, absolutely no problem. Perhaps it was just the life motto, chicken soup for the soul, that came into play. Or perhaps Xiaoguang originally belonged to the optimist school, and just now it was just a brief moment of wilting watching the little light regain its vitality and say to Xiaoyun, 'Xiaoyun, let's set off now, charge forward.'" You slow down, little light. Looking at the little light advancing towards the depths of the forest, Little Cloud thought to himself, did the chicken soup just fill up a bit too much? As we delved deeper, the mist in the forest grew more and more, and the atmosphere became more serious. Grasp my hand tightly and don't let go. At the beginning, one could still see the fog on the road clearly, but now they can almost only see around themselves because the fog is too heavy. Xiaoyun tightly held Xiaoguang's hand, afraid that the two of them would get lost, so he took Xiaoguang with him. Hearing the commotion in the grass, Xiaoyun watched cautiously. At this moment, purple needles shot out from the grass, and Xiaoyun recognized that skill, which was a commonly used skill in poison Pokemon, Poison Needle. Let's go. Quickly take a small light and start evading. Ollie. At this moment, Xiaoyun finally saw clearly the Pokemon appearing in the grass, all purple in color and resembling a large spider in appearance. It is one of the infamous Pokemon in the forest, Alitos. Ollie, not only in the grass, but also on the branches, there are purple red eyes, and wherever you look up, you can see the figure of Alitos. Damn it, what bad luck. You've walked into the lair of Alitos. Xiaoyun cursed inwardly. Xiaoyun, what should we do now? Xiaoguang was a bit scared at the moment. After all, it is normal for a girl to be afraid when encountering such a situation. Let's go, let's run out first. Without saying a word, Xiaoyun quickly grabbed Xiaoguang's hand and slipped out. Now that Lizard King is not here, if they catch him, they will really explain it to him. Ollie. And behind us, Alitos clearly didn't want to let us go. Some were chasing us on the ground, while others were jumping towards us directly from the tree using spitting needles. What should Xiaoyun do? There's no way ahead. Xiaoguang looked at the lake ahead and said. Xiaoyun stood in front of the lake, looking at the lake and then at the Alitos chasing behind. He was determined to jump into the lake with a little light. Bang! Ollie, a green figure unexpectedly flew away in Alitos. Cha-bai! Xiaoyun looked up and saw that it was the Lizard King who arrived in time, holding an injured little flame monkey in his arms. Great Lizard King, you're finally here. If you don't come again, your trainer will have to throw himself into the lake with tears in his eyes. Xiaoyun whimpered to the Lizard King with tears in his eyes. Cha-bai. It must be me, what would you do without me? The Lizard King put down the little flame monkey and then put on a combat posture towards Alitos. Ollie. 12 against 1, my advantage lies in me. The leader of Alitos saw a group of spider squads with only the Lizard King and an elf on their side, indicating that this wave of flying dragons is riding on their faces. How can you make them lose? Then all Alitos opened their mouths at the same time, followed by countless purple poison needles from their mouths, and hit the Lizard King like a pear flower in a rainstorm. Lizard King, use the lightning flash to accelerate and avoid. Xiaoyun quickly shouted to the Lizard King. Lizard King is a typical high-speed high-attack player, and the widespread venomous needles are too unfriendly to Lizard King. Let's avoid this wave of silence and wait for the opportunity. Exactly. I saw that the narrow field did not limit the speed of the Lizard King at all. As the Lizard King's figure flashed, green lights could be seen shuttling back and forth in the forest. Next, find the right time and use a sunny day. Xiaoyun looked at the thick fog around and thought to himself that it was too limiting his vision. He should use a sunny day to clear the fog first before proceeding. Exactly. After dodging a wave of venomous needles, the Lizard King spat out a red ball of light from his mouth and flew into the sky. The sunlight was intensified, dispersing the mist in the forest. Ollie. The Aritos were a bit panicked. As the clear weather began, their advantage in the field was no longer there. The opportunity has come, Lizard King, the sun is blazing. Xiaoyun didn't waste the bonus effect of the sunny day, so he took advantage of Alito's panic and opened it up directly. Cha-cha. With the bonus of a sunny day, the small ball behind the Lizard King quickly charged up and sent a white energy wave crashing towards the Aritos. Bang! This burst of sunlight and flames directly flew 5 or 6 Aritos, all turning into circular eyes, and the rest were blown to the side by the aftershocks. The Lizard King mounted the pursuit and used his blade towards the nearby Aritos. Xiaoyun shouted to the Lizard King. He is bound to annihilate these few big spider flowers that almost killed him. Cha! Cha! The leaves on the Lizard King's arm turned into sharp blades and swung towards these few residual blood flower spiders. Bang bang bang! The Lizard King's fierce knife technique only dealt with these few bloodless spiders in an instant. Team Destruction. Chapter 9. Xinqi Lake Amrito. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Ollie, there is still the last Alitos in the grass who feels things are not going well and is ready to run first. Oh, there's another fish that's missing the net here. The Lizard King is ready to take care of it with one move. Boga boga. Just as Xiaoyun was preparing to command the Lizard King to take down the last large spider and obtain the title of Spider Terminator, completing his supernatural feat, then I saw orderly blue foam shooting from the grass directly hit Alitos who wanted to escape. Oh, hello. There are even people stealing people's heads in this place. Xiaoyun stared intently at the grass to see what exactly Pokemon was grabbing people's heads. Boga boga. A round and chubby blue penguin suddenly emerged from the grass, with a dark blue back and head, a yellow beak, white eyes around, and a light blue crown in the middle of the eyes. Looking cute and lovely. Boga, boga boga. I saw the chubby penguin slowly walking out with a haughty demeanor on its back, patting the Lizard King's thigh with the chubby hand that pointed the way, as if saying, "Young man, you did a good job." Although it may be a bit disappointing compared to the original penguin, it is also a potential talent. In the future, it is just around the corner to follow my brother and reach the pinnacle of life. Exactly. Where did this little blue chubby guy come from? The Lizard King looked at the chubby penguin planning his life path under his feet with a black line on his face. He restrained himself from giving the chubby little penguin a big comparison with his blade and looked at Xiaoyun in confusion. This is Bogomon. This temperament is a bit familiar, it should be the one Xiaoguang chose later. Xiaoyun looked curiously at Bogomon, who was pointing the way with his hands and waist back in front of him. It's really good, with the demeanor of the unparalleled General Xinqi from the Three Kingdoms. Sigh. This Bogomon is the one that the Research Institute ran out of. Xiaoguang also saw Bogomon asking Xiaoyun at this moment. That's right, if nothing unexpected happens, that should be it. Although Xiaoyun had already understood the answer, he pretended to think and said to Xiaoguang. Stamp, it feels quite cute, and it doesn't look mischievous. How could it sneak out? I saw that Xiaoguang no longer had the fear he had just shown. He slowly walked forward and without hesitation, hugged the chubby penguin guiding the country, pinching his face and poking his belly. All he wanted to do was come and go. Bo bo jia. _ Hashtag, in the world of Bogomon, time seemed to have come to a standstill, and the temperament of the gang leader who had just pointed the way and wielded power was destroyed without a trace by Xiaoguang's chaotic grasp. The smile did not disappear, it just shifted from Bogerman's face to Xiaoguang's face. Boga. Seeing that Xiaoguang was still preparing to look at his buttocks, Bogerman finally couldn't bear it anymore. His anger had reached 100% and he broke free from Xiaoguang's embrace. The yellow beak had already emitted white light and started pecking wildly at the little light. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Please let me go. Xiaoguang ran and hugged his head, saying to Bogomon. Ha ha ha. Xiaoyun, are you still laughing? Come and help me. I'm sorry Bogomon, I won't dare again next time. Xiaoguang saw Xiaoyun not only not helping her here, but also standing in place and watching her smile and saying to me, "Alright, Bogerman, forgive Xiaoguang. She was just too happy to see you for the first time and couldn't help but touch you." Xiaoyun smiled for a while before going over to help Xiaoguang solve the problem, and directly hugged Bogemon and said in a friendly voice, "If we don't stop it anymore, it's estimated that Xiaoguang's head will be pecked by Bogemon and the loss will be huge. Boga boga. Just now that woman was planning to touch my butt, can she also see this penguin's butt?" Bogemon was stopped by me and finally stopped chasing Xiaoguang, but he still cursed and said, "Xiaoguang, come over and apologize to Bogemon. After all, it was just repelling Alitos with us." Xiaoyun plans to ask Xiaoguang to come and apologize to Bogemon, but to repel Alitos or something. Although it's the same whether it's him or not, and even stole my head, that's definitely not something to say. I'm really sorry Bogerman, it was impolite just now. I shouldn't have treated you that way." Xiaoguang, who was also very obedient, came over and began to bow down and apologize to Bogerman. Boga boga, well, considering your sincere attitude, this penguin reluctantly accepted it. This Bogemon is also a real gem. One second he cursed, and the next second he regained his confident gaze upon hearing an apology. He nodded and said to the girl, showing his family demeanor, "Gulu gulu, boga." At this moment, Bogemon's stomach screamed out in a very uncooperative manner. Bogemon, who had just looked confident, suddenly felt a little embarrassed and blushed as he covered his belly. You're hungry. By the way, I have some Pokemon food that the researcher just gave me, and I'm not sure if it suits your taste. Let's give it a try first." Xiaoguang saw Bogemon's stomach make a hungry cry, took out a can of food from the small yellow bag behind him, opened the can, and said to Bogemon, "Boga." Bogerman saw Xiaoguang take out a can of food and also break free from my arms. He walked up to Xiaoguang and pecked one of his eyes with his small mouth, then began to eat it happily. Kiki, the little flame monkey on the ground, cautiously walked over when he saw food, and looked at the little light to signal that he also wanted one. You also want to eat, come on, there's still a lot inside." Xiaoguang grabbed a handful of food and placed it in front of little flame monkey. Kiki, the little flame monkey, looks much better when it eats, even though it is very hungry, it is still slowly chewing one by one with its hands. Seeing this warm scene in the forest, I thought to myself, little light still has a set. Just then, a ethereal sound came from the lake. Wu, turning to look at the lake, I saw a transparent figure slowly rising from the lake. The figure is a small gray fairy-like Pokemon, with 2 tails, each with a red gemstone at the end. It has 4 long ears hanging on its head, and a ruby between its eyebrows looks very sacred. It is the 3 holy mushrooms. The god of emotions, Amrito. Xiaoyun was greatly surprised. "Hush, how could you forget about this matter? Since Amrito has appeared, then this lake should be Xinqi Lake." At the moment Xiaoyun saw Amrito, he finally remembered his past memories. With the passage of time, the anime information from his past life was somewhat blurry, and many things could not be remembered clearly. I remember at the beginning of the Pearl chapter, Xiaoguang first met Amrito by the lake in the Research Institute. In the setting, Amrito sleeps in a strange space of the Heart Lake, and only specific people can see its soul on the lake. So, is it because of Xiaoguang? Xiaoyun looked at Xiaoguang beside him and pondered. Chapter 10. Angry Lizard King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wu, Amrito, who woke up from his slumber, stared intently at Xiaoguang and then curiously looked at Xiaoyun after hearing him call out his name. Xiaoyun felt a little uncomfortable being stared at by Amrito, so he asked, the god of emotions, Amrito, did we disturb your sleep? Is there something you need to ask us for? Wuthering, Amrito remained silent, and a pink light cluster condensed from the ruby on his forehead. The light cluster split into 2 paths that simultaneously attacked Little Cloud and Little Light. Cha bai. Boga Boga. Before we spoke, Lizard King and Bogamon thought that the opposite spirit had launched an attack on Xiaoguang and me, and they respectively used the seed machine gun and foam light to try to stop the two light clusters. The light cluster penetrated through the attack and entered the minds of Xiaoguang and Xiaoyun respectively. Xiaoyun thought to herself, hey. I didn't feel any pain, how can I describe it? At the beginning, there was a slight pain, and then a particularly warm feeling occupied the entire mind, making people feel refreshed and involuntarily immersed in it. Cha Bai. You dare to harm Xiaoyun. The Lizard King closed his eyes and remained silent when he saw Xiaoyun being hit by a light ball. His gaze was fixed on Amrito, and his yellow eyes became firm and powerful, like hanging bells, emitting a majestic and murderous aura. Cha. You. Let me suffer to death. The next second, the killing aura in the Lizard King's eyes seemed to condense into substance, and he launched the Grass Pokemon ultimate move to harden the plants. The Lizard King inserted his hands into the earth, and the massive energy of the grass system began to gather around him. The earth began to crack, with thorns the size of trees breaking through the ground and forming a forest of thorns, attacking towards Amrito. Wu Emlid saw the Lizard King without saying a word and directly launched a big attack, using instant movement to avoid it. He was just about to start explaining. Exactly. But the Lizard King had already been blinded by the anger and continued to attack the thorn forest in a surrounding manner when he saw the blow fail. Oh. Amrito didn't hide anymore, his eyes twisted and a pink light condensed out of nowhere, blocking the thorny forest. Bomb. Amrito is actually a Pokémon of the Superpower series, even though it is not skilled in combat. With its massive superpowers and divine powers, it still temporarily blocked the thorn forest. However, the Lizard King is the main Pokémon carefully trained by Xiaoyun. After experiencing the training of House Han and Hanyu Qingyun, even Amrito couldn't easily accept this move. Exactly. Lizard King, stop. Stop it now, don't fight anymore. Just as the Lizard King was preparing to gather more grass energy and engage in a decisive battle with Amrito, Xiaoyun, who had returned to reality, saw this scene and immediately spoke up to stop him. Cha Bai. Xiaoyun. The Lizard King's murderous gaze gradually returned to normal upon hearing my voice. He quickly withdrew from the thorn forest and took out his hands that had been stuck in the ground. Then, he came to Xiaoyun and looked at him with concern. Don't worry, I'm fine. Amrito didn't attack me just now, he just left something in my mind and will explain it to you later. Watching the concerned gaze of the Lizard King, Xiaoyun's heart warmed, and then explained the situation to the Lizard King just now. Cha Bei, after confirming that Xiaoyun was okay, Lizard King breathed a sigh of relief and stayed quietly beside him, waiting for instructions, but his gaze remained on Amrito. I'm sorry, Amrito. Due to my personal mistake, the Lizard King launched an attack on you. I feel deeply sorry here. Xiaoyun approached and bowed to Amrito in the sky. Amrito also floated down from the sky, waving his small hand to indicate that he didn't care about what happened just now. As the god of emotions, Amrito can naturally feel the sincerity in the heart of the young man in front of him. The recent attack was also launched because the Lizard King thought his trainer had been killed. It has seen many Pokémon and trainers who were abandoned due to some small difficulties and started going their separate ways, which further reflects the deep bond and emotion between the young man in front of him and his Pokémon. But Amrito, can you tell me what you have invested in my and Xiaoguang's minds? Although the light cluster just made Xiaoyun's mind empty and clear, and there was even more waiting for me to explore, he still wanted to ask about the role of this light cluster. You will naturally know. Amrito thought so, but did not explain the situation to Xiaoyun. With a wave of spatial fluctuations, Amrito used an instant movement to flash back to the center of Heart Lake, and finally his figure gradually began to fade and disappear. Amrito, Xiaoyun watched as Amrito's figure disappeared in a moment. Looking at the clear and bright lake surface, it looks like a mirror, clearly reflecting the blue sky, accompanied by a gentle breeze and layers of scales rippling on the lake surface. If it weren't for the aftermath of the battle left on the grass reminding Xiaoyun of what had just happened, he would probably have thought that Amrito had never appeared before. Hey, it's okay for you to leave. Anyway, even with my evasive words, I don't expect to win you over. But before leaving, at least tell me what that light ball was just now. Xiaoyun thought helplessly in her heart. Xiaoyun, what just happened? How did this place turn out like this? Also, where did that beautiful elf go just now? Xiaoguang also woke up and looked around at the grass. The grass, which was originally like a natural carpet, was now full of potholes, and the elves on the lake disappeared. He asked Xiaoyun in confusion. It's okay, just the Lizard King was a bit bored digging a few holes on the ground to play with. Let's see if he can improve his digging skills. With a touch of his lips, Xiaoyun threw the pot directly onto the Lizard King. The meaning was similar, as it was all done by the Lizard King. If the result was correct, who cares about the process? Ah! Can Lizard King still learn how to dig holes? It seems like he hasn't talked about it in class. Xiaoguang didn't suspect Xiaoyun, but instead looked serious and thoughtful. Well, nowadays Meow Meow can even speak. My Lizard King belongs to the kind of Pokemon with extraordinary talents. From a young age, I have seen him as a great emperor, and in the future, he will become a great tool and just dig a hole. Isn't that all you need to do? Xiaoyun started running the train with his mouth full, and said to Xiaoguang without blushing or panting. Okay. Xiaoguang had already been swayed by Xiaoyun and limped, subconsciously nodding his head and saying. I'm telling you. Oh, feed my face. At this point, the Lizard King could no longer bear Xiaoyun's words, so he turned around and used his large green tail to flick Xiaoyun into the ground with a loud thud. Pooh, pooh, what are you doing, Lizard King? Xiaoyun, who was hammered into the ground, spat out the soil in his mouth and complained to the Lizard King. Cha! Xiaoyun, why did you fall into the ground? Are you also practicing digging skills, Omega? The Lizard King turned around and looked at Xiaoyun with a resentful expression on his face, trying to suppress the upward corners of his mouth and show a puzzled expression, as if it had done nothing. Let you stay there all the time, let's practice digging holes for me too.